Good afternoon to you and welcome to the show. My name is Alex MacPhail. I love high performance teams and today I've got a fascinating guest. We're breaking away from the norm a little bit today. Interesting, a Springbok legend, André Snyman, has played 38 tests with the Springboks. He's scored 10 tries and he's gone on to a coaching career now. Stay with us. André, how are you doing today in lockdown in the United Kingdom?
No, I'm good, Alex. How are you doing there in South Africa?
Good. Yeah, we've had our lockdown extended. We're on a bit of a longer extension of lockdown. I've just got back from a trip and I've got back home to my family yesterday. So loving sleeping in my own bed, spending time with the kids. How's it going on your side? Are you restricted to your home?
Pretty much the same, yeah. Our lockdown has also been extended and obviously the kids went back to school yesterday, but it's online schooling. So the schools are open, but it's all online. So yeah, it's a bit of a challenge, but luckily because my wife works at the school as well, so they go to school with her, and then there are teachers there that will supervise them while they're doing their online schooling at the school. But for the rest of the pupils at the school, it's still closed. I'm just playing daddy mom at home, cooking, cleaning, make sure that the house don't burn down. So yeah, it's very interesting self-reflect time.
Okay, I like that new phrase, daddy mom. Is a good one. Okay, we're going to get back to your role as daddy mom and how you're operating at home in the role of a coach and keeping fit, etc. But let's just take a pause there and rewind a little bit for bringing everyone back up to speed. So you had a very interesting and illustrious career with the Springboks, and you're in the second phase of your career now. But let's take it back to the last couple of years of high school. Obviously, growing up there in the Natal region, you would have done fairly well and no doubt represented your first team from that level. Talk us through the last couple of years of high school playing rugby.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, most people probably must have looked me up on Wikipedia and know that I was born in Newcastle, which is this northern Natal, which is about a 3-hour drive inland from Durban. That's where I was born. But I went to Dundee High School, funny enough, and I was actually the head boy. I don't know for what sin. I don't know why, but it was funny enough. Rugby-wise, yes, I had a brilliant rugby career at school. I was very fortunate to be coached by Johan Rainsford, who actually represented the Free State team at the time, way back when, which brought us a lot of knowledge to the school. I really admired him, and I think most of my ability to play the game, read the game, comes from him. He was a brilliant coach, and that's where it started. Represented, obviously, Northern Natal at Cravenwyk. Unfortunately, being in the platteland, as you would know, when you're at Cravenwyk and all the big teams like Western Province and Northern Transvaal and Free State, all those teams, when they play, all the selectors are there to watch them. But when the smaller teams like Southwestern Districts and Northern Transvaal and all those plays, Northern Natal, sorry, when we play, the selectors, they go for a tea break, so they don't look at the smaller schools and maybe pick up a rough diamond or something like that. But anyway, nevertheless, I really enjoyed my school. Never thought of playing professional rugby. Never thought of playing for my country. I just wanted to finish school, go to Pretoria Technikon and study and come back to the farm and help the family on the farm. So rugby was purely a just time breaker at school. You were forced to play rugby, and so I just played it and I enjoyed playing it. And I knew I was good. I had a bit of speed, had a bit of size on my side, but it was just fun hanging out with my teammates, schoolmates. But yeah, I never ever thought of playing it as a career.
Okay, well, we'll come back to that and the way the rugby has changed. There's lots to talk about, the sort of professionalism of schoolboy rugby now, etc. Let's just pause on that for a minute. So you venture off up north and you end up in Pretoria. You enroll for mechanical engineering, and obviously rugby was a great outlet for you. A lot of fun, the camaraderie goes with it. You carry on playing, and then you get spotted and you're drafted into the Northern Transvaal, as it was called at that time. So talk us through those early days at Northern Transvaal rugby.
Absolutely. Like I said, I matriculated in 92, went to Pretoria in 93, studied mechanical engineering at Pretoria Technikon at the time. Went well the first year, managed to go to all the classes, sit there and listen to what the lecturers were saying. And then, unfortunately, the second year was a little bit different. Started playing rugby, obviously, for the Technikon, and started playing Colton League. And then eventually the selectors saw me playing for the club and went drafted into like the Northern Transvaal development team and the under 21 development team, and it just slowly but surely the ball started rolling, and I realized, hold on a second, this is a different field that I'm playing on here. There can actually, something can happen here. So further down the line, spoke to my mom, and I said to her, Mom, I've got a problem. They want me now to play for the Northern Transvaal under 21 team, but I have to train this time and this day and the stuff, and it's interfering with my studies. I can't, I can't get to my studies. And my mom just looked at me and she said to me, you know what, kid, this is an opportunity. You can study until you're 50. When you finish, when you're 40 years old, you can still go and study something, sure. But you can only play rugby until you're about 30 years old, and you're young. This is an opportunity, go for it. So unfortunately, my studies went by the wayside, and I can kick myself for that. I wish I had finished my studies. For all the youngsters out there, please finish your studies. Okay.
Coach's tips.
So, yeah, pro tips. Ended up playing semi-professional in those days. I mean, obviously, we're talking about 93, 94. And then June of 94, I made my first debut for the Northern Transvaal team. And that's when they gave us the little brown envelope on a Friday afternoon after training. And then, Bob's your uncle. The rest is history. I started playing for the Bulls. Northern Transvaal. And then the game just developed. And after the 95 World Cup, it turned professional. And then in 96, they would change the name to the Blue Bulls. And I stayed with them until end of 99.
Okay, great. So we'll zoom in there a little bit. Okay, so you were a student, you became involved in rugby, doing well and building, and great advice from your mom as well. Follow a bit of passion. Passion takes you a long way, and it's the discipline that helps you keep it up. And then, so quite quickly after playing provincial rugby in South Africa, within 3 years, I think it was, you representing South Africa, and talk us through that process. I mean, the first step obviously is you being watched, and maybe there's some murmuring on the sidelines, or your mates tell you, hey, they're keeping an eye on you, or this is a particular game for you to play well. Talk us through that sort of buzz before, and then the moment that they announce your name, that you hear your name is linked with those greats. What is that feeling like?
No, I mean, I think the word you described, the buzz, is pretty good. I mean, because that's what it is. You never think about playing professional or just playing at a high level, never mind professional, because the game wasn't professional at the time. You just think to yourself, wow, because growing up as a kid on a Saturday afternoon, you have to peel the oranges at home and give it to your friends and your dad to watch, Nas Botha and Donnie Gerber playing and all that stuff. And you always think to yourself, wow, these guys are playing really good rugby. And then before you blink, you're in that same position. You're on the tip of the edge to jump into this massive pool of becoming one of those players where other people are going to look up to you. And you think to yourself, hold on, if I work a little bit harder, and if I run a little bit faster, and if I push a little bit more weights in the gym, maybe I can get there. And that's basically what happened. I mean, I started playing, like I say, for Northern Transvaal in 1994. And in 1996, I made my debut for the Springboks. So within 2 years, it's funny, it was actually almost to the date. It was the 14th of May. I started playing for Northern Transvaal, and then on the 17th of August, 2 years later, I made my debut. And in those 2 years was a massive transition in my mindset. I saw the carrot at the end of the runway, as you would say in pilot speech, and I thought to myself, I can do this. And like I said, I really put my head down and I worked hard. I mean, I think in those days, the chances of getting rewarded for your hard work was a lot bigger, sure, because they didn't have what they have now, all these academies, and all these kids are just throwing themselves at rugby. I think in those days, we didn't have that competition. So the little bit of extra work that you put in, you're definitely going to be rewarded, because there wasn't a lot of competition in those days. But yeah, like I said, I had this dream all of a sudden, because like you say, the buzz was there, and I realized I have the talent. Maybe I should just nurture this talent, develop this talent, and I can become the next Dani Gerber, the next Nas Botha, or Manikis Roo, or whoever out there, and then all of a sudden the light bulb or the uh-oh moment happened, and then I really put in the hard work, and then 1996 I represented my country.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, so you not only do you get selected in the team, and that's an awesome achievement, I think. Certainly when you find that extra gear, you put your head down, the discipline, the hard work starts to pay off, and you get mentioned in the same circles, then you get selected. But you get selected to play against one of the best teams out there, the best team probably at the time, the All Blacks. And not only that, but you get selected in your player's number. You're on the starting lineup against the All Blacks. What a feeling. I mean, your debut game is wonderful anyway, but this is now a sort of next level debut game.
Yeah, I mean, I would say my debut selection is not normal. Normally you play for your club or you play for your union, and you play well and you play consistency, and the selectors see you and they select you. But in my case, it was a bit different. Let me explain to you. So we were playing at Northern Transvaal, and in 1996, we trained during the week, and it was a Wednesday night, I think it was. And normally on a Wednesday, we have an off day. So the boys in the team decided, no, we're going to go and play a bit of golf in the morning. And that afternoon, we're going to get together at somebody's house, and we're going to have a nice barbecue, and we're going to play a little bit of poker and watch and just hang out and have a few beers. That's what happened. And then we got a little bit, one beer, another beer, and another one, and another one, as we rugby players do. And eventually, on a Thursday morning, I got a phone call from our team manager, Vani Strydom, and he said to me, Andre, I hope your cell phone is charged. And I was like, what do you mean? He says, no, because now I'm waking up with a massive hangover. and he says to me, I hope your cell phone is charged. And I'm like, I'm not sure what you're talking about. He says, well, Japie Mulder, at the time down in Durban, his back went into spasm at training, and you're on standby. And I was like, no, and I thought it's a joke. I thought it's somebody's now pranking me and all that stuff. And he says, no, you better go home, pack your bags. You are flying at 12 o'clock. You are flying to Durban to join up with the Springbok team for Saturday's game against New Zealand. I was like, nah, come on, man. You guys are joking with me. And Stru's God, that's what happened. So I had to go home, pack my bag, be ready. He picked me up. And at 12 o'clock, I flew down to Durban, got into Durban Hotel at the Beverly Hills in Umhlanga. Went straight for captain's run that afternoon at 5 o'clock at Kings Park. I remember Andre Joubert talking to me, and he's trying to run me down all the moves. And initially I thought I'm just going to be there on standby, just in case. And Japie started running, and he did the warm-up, and his back just couldn't make it. And then eventually, like, well, Andre, guess what? You're not on the bench. You're not on standby. You starting. And I was just like, wow, okay, hold on. This is getting real. This is not happening. So yeah, I had to put on my big boy pants very quickly. And so yeah, it's not your normal selection process, but I got an opportunity, unfortunately, because Japie got injured. Got this opportunity, and I'm not going to say no to it. And it's what you make of the opportunities that come your way. And then, yeah, like I said, that's how I started playing for the Boks.
Okay, great. So now that you've mentioned so many good things that we're going to zoom on, I've made some notes along the way. But this thing about an opportunity. So a person's injury is obviously not a great thing, but it does give you the opportunity. But it doesn't allow you to retain that place, and it doesn't mean that you're going to be good in that place. So then the responsibility goes back on your shoulders. You have to take another gear now and just dig deep, put on your big boy pants and deliver. And certainly you did that well. Unfortunately, that was your sort of debut against Frank Bunce and Walter Little. And the team were not victorious that day, but I'm sure a sort of baptism of fire for you. Talk us through that first day, that first game.
Yeah, no, I mean, just to, like you say, when you're in the position, you wear that number 13 jersey at in that moment. And there's so many other kids out, or players out there that want that jersey. They all work the same hard. They all gym. They all train hard to wear that number 13 jersey. And all of a sudden it's on your back. And you think to yourself, okay, you have this moment and this feeling of, I've achieved my goal. What now? What is the next step? Yeah. Now all of a sudden your mindset changes from I want it to I have to hold on to it.
Sure.
Because I know I was on this side of the fence looking at that jersey saying I want it. Now I've got it. So if you think back now, I know there's people behind me that say I want that jersey. So I have to now keep away and play out of my skin so that the people behind me can't get this jersey off my back.
Sure, you're a marked man.
So your mindset, you're a marked man. So all of a sudden your change of the way you look at the game, you have to become a student of the game now. You can't just rock up and bench press and jump and run and decide, no, I can pass the ball, I'm in the team. No, you become a student of the game. Now you've got to find ways to stay that one step ahead of the next person that wants that jersey off your back. So it's difficult at times because there's criticism involved. You're in the spotlight. Everybody is now looking at you. Your name is in the paper all of a sudden. If you make a mistake, everybody sees the mistake all of a sudden. So it completely changes. And then, to start your game against Walter Little and Frank Buns as a kid, I mean, you look up to this center pairing or combination, you think to myself, wow, these guys are brilliant. And the next minute, you stand in front of a haka and you look up and you see your idol standing in front of you and you think to yourself, okay, what just happened? And it's just it's an amazing feeling. I mean, I can try and put it in words, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's goosebumps. That's all I can say. And if you know what I'm talking about, if you see something or you hear something and you get that goosebump feeling, as I'm sitting here, I'm getting goosebumps right now. Then you know what it's all about. I mean, there's words like amazing and awesome and great, but does it really, really describe that feeling?
Sure.
No, it can't. Other than goosebumps. Goosebumps is the only one.
Okay, well, so I'm sure everyone's had that sort of feeling of goosebumps before in some aspect of their life. That's just been that wonderful, emotional, sort of physical outpouring at the same time. I want to come back to a point you mentioned just now. Before I do, let me just put up some of these pics that you've shared with me. So here's a shot of you in the anthem there. In your jersey with your fist against your chest. So talk us through that kind of moment where, you talked about the haka just now, but it's also very emotional to be representing your country. You're wearing the uniform, you're wearing the flag, you're singing the anthem, you're on the camera, you're focusing on the game. Talk us through anthem time on the field.
Anthem time is you're in your own little world. There's so many things going through your mind. You want to try and remember what happened during the training week. You got to remember how to do certain moves, how to execute. You want to take in the moment as well. Don't lose track of the fun part of this things and the enjoyment of being out there and expressing yourself and because God gave you this talent and you can go and express yourself. But at the same time, you represent something. You represent your family, you represent yourself, you represent the country. And a lot of people are supporting you and you're representing the people that support you. I'm not everybody's favorite player. I know that. But you know what? I represent them. And there's a lot of pressure on you other than the game pressure. There's that social media, social belonging pressure as well on you. But it's a moment that you just stand there and you basically, your whole world is this big. It's just you and in your head and in your heart, what you feel. And, standing next to your teammate, and I mean, I think Louis Kuhn was standing on my right and Trevor Holstead on my left. It's just knowing that they feel exactly the same. And I'm not alone in this. They feel the same. And we're here together as a team. It's an amazing feeling knowing that all that hard work pays off. You're presenting yourself, the country, everybody's looking for you. And hopefully, and this is now the big thing, hopefully you can make everybody proud. That is the most thing, because everybody wants to achieve and everybody wants to do well. And that's the thing, is the hope that you're going to do well and make people proud and say, wow, they played well, or wow, he's a good player. You know, it's not nice coming off a pitch and people are going to go, oh, you didn't play well. You don't want to hear that negative stuff. But we'll come into that negative stuff a little bit later in the conversation. But you know, but at that point, it's proud. You're proud. You like. It's an amazing feeling.
Oh, wonderful. Andre, I want to bring up a little video here, which I'm sure if you can hear the commentator, you'll be familiar. This is your first try, but also goes on to something more special. Enjoy this.
There's not enough Tongans shoving in there. Honeyball, Lubba, Snyman, Yubert could go all the way here, but he's got support. Flat out by André Snyman, and André Snyman gets his first test.
First test try against Tonga.
Yeah, absolutely. Won't forget that one.
Second test try
for the Springboks in the same game.
4 tries between them. Van der Westhuizen, Trotsky, Small, Snyman will get a hat-trick.
And the hat-trick under the poles there. Wow, okay, so many great things to talk about. The first try, playing with some of those greats, the names that around the world, rugby world knows those names. I know you spent a lot of time traveling and training and sharing room with Joost, but a hat-trick. So lots to talk about. What are you thinking when you're hearing those things, thinking back to that time? What's it like to score a try for your country, the first one, the hat-trick, and playing with such great people?
I mean, looking back at those things, you know, the first thing that pops in my mind is, I wish I was still that young. But yeah, it's again, we talk about opportunities. Earlier on, you and I, we talked about opportunities that comes your way, you know, and the decisions you got to make when these opportunities come your way. And it was an opportunity for me to play with these people, and you got to take it with everything you are and everything you want, and you just got to take it and absorb everything that goes with it. And you know, like, I learned so much from Andre Joubert and Gary Teichmann and Francois Pienaar, and you know, I just, those are just some of the names. You know, as a kid, you just listen to them and just knowledge, and you just hear what they've got to say. But to come back to the Tonga try, you know, I mean, that first one, you know, still finding my feet in the team, being a rookie or a youngster, whatever you want to call me, you know, you're so scared of doing something wrong because these players have been playing the game for so long. So all you want to do is you're trying to do the right thing. And at that point in time, all I wanted to do is just catch, pass, and support. That's all I wanted to do, because there's not a lot of mistakes in catch, pass, and support. You know, if you
do the basics right.
Basically what I do. Exactly, get the basics right. You know, and build from there. And that's basically what I did. You know, if you look at those tries, I didn't really do much work. I didn't really beat a defender or run over somebody or jinx somebody or use my footwork or anything. All I did was I was at the right time at the right place. And that's when I coach, and we're going to get to that as well, my philosophy is what you do without the ball that makes you a good player. Okay. When you have ball in hand, yes, do the right thing, you know, catch, pass, run. But when you don't have the ball in your hand, what do? You're just going to stand there and become a spectator, or you're actually going to do something. And that is my philosophy as a player, is always do something, even if I don't have the ball in my hand. And that's, if you look at those 3 tries, I made a pass, and all I did was support on the inside of Andre Joubert. Obviously, I had to do some catch-up because the old man was pretty fast. You know, I had to do some catch-up there. Back inside, score the try. The other one, open on the left side, you know, off the base of the ruck, I think it was. I mean, I shouted to Naka Drotsky, I think it was. I really shouted hard because there was so much space in front of me. Everybody tracked over to do the defense on the other side. I looked up, I scanned, and I saw there's space here. I shouted for the ball. The ball came, scored the try. The third one, you know, James Small did all the hard work. He stepped inside, all that thing. All I had to do is just run into the space, call for the ball, try, scored. You know, so if you think about it, I didn't do a lot, but I did a lot, if that makes sense. I didn't play a lot of rugby, but I did a lot of work. So, yeah, I mean, and to score 3 tries, you know, in one game, it's it's an exceptional achievement. Not a lot of players manage to do that. So yeah, that was one of my top favorite memories in my career, to do that. But it always takes a team for you to score those tries. So I can only say thank you to my teammates at the time for allowing me to score those tries.
Oh, wonderful. It's great to credit the team as well. So here's a picture. You've mentioned a couple of key things. I want to put this picture up now on attack. And again, photos that you shared with me. Ball in hand, charging almost in full flight. Not only are you focused on the guy, where you're going and potentially ahead of you, but what's coming up around you. And in flying, we talk about situational awareness. And I can see that you can see the look in your eyes here that you've got that scan going, you've got that awareness. Talk us through that kind of a process in sort of pro sports and particularly like pro rugby. Is there a concept of situational awareness with ball in hand, or like first support of the guy running with the ball?
Absolutely. I mean, I call it scanning. You got to constantly scan or take a picture. Take a picture of what's going on around you. Who's your support? Where's your support? And that picture changes every second. So you need to change your vision, your process every second as well. So you got to be aware of, before you even receive the ball, who's on your inside, who's on your outside, what's going on in front of you, who's in front of you. Is it a prop? Is it a lock? Is it a wing? Is it a center? What is it an injured player? Is it somebody that's just made a tackle and they're standing up, they're out of position? All those kind of things, you got to be aware of your surroundings the whole time and then make your decision based on that. Running with ball in hand, obviously ball in two hands is very important, because it gives you an option to pass both sides. As soon as you tuck the ball under an arm, this guy's not going to pass. He's looking for contact. And from a defensive point of view, very easy to defend. So it's very important to run with ball in two hands. It makes the defenders think the whole time, keep them guessing. But yeah, don't have tunnel vision. You get so many players, they have the ball and they just lock down and they just go like this and they don't look at anywhere else, or they just like, this is my ball and I'm running. So you got to try, and I know it's difficult sometimes because you don't get the ball that often. When you do have it in your hand, you want to run with it,
sure.
But you just got to trust yourself, make the right decision, always pass the ball to a player in a better position, and that's what it is. And so, yeah, scanning, be aware what's in front of you, be aware what's on the side of you, and then listen. You got to listen as well. Listen to the people around you. Listen to people talking that you might not even see. The fullback behind me might coming in from the side and he might be yelling. I might not see him, but I can hear him.
Sure.
And I've got to trust that he's going to be there and I can give him the pass or something like that. So yeah, that's scanning and being aware is very important.
Oh, you mentioned so many words that are familiar in our game as well. Scanning, it's what we do. Pilots all the time scanning the instrument, scanning the horizon, understanding. Tunnel vision is a point where your focus is getting reduced and you're starting to get overloaded, and that's the point where you start offloading some of your workload to your colleagues on the flight deck, and that will allow you to free up the tunnel vision and the communication. So wonderful key aspects that we can cross over there, Andre. I love those terms. You got another.
I'm glad to hear you pilots don't just sit there in the front and drink a cup of coffee. So you actually do something, right?
We do some work every now and then, sure. The other thing that's another interesting stat, throughout most of in fact, your whole career, you've got a very good record. But in the first 3 years, when you got the ball, when you scored a try, the Springboks won. And I know you were, what is your thought process like? So that can bring into the conversation about the zone. And in rugby, I know you get into these little pairings, like the center pairings or the back three, or the loose forwards, etc. Talk us through what it's like. That when you score that try, your game steps up a level. You feel that buzz. You feel like you're now running at 120%, and how you can energize around the people that you play with most frequently, the center pairings, etc. And how you can influence the team on the day like you score a try, the team wins.
Yeah, I mean, scoring a try is a process. I mean, obviously the ball's got to go through a couple of players or a couple of hands being passed until eventually somebody's going to score the try. Scoring the try is great. You get all the accolades and your name comes up on the big screen and it's a little tick behind your name and all that stuff. But you also got to give accolades to the players that was the cause or the reason why you scored that try, that made those passes, that made the sacrifices. It's not just the person scoring the try, it's always the try makers. I'd rather be a try maker instead of a person that scores the try, because that makes me feel good, knowing that I did something good and I managed to put someone else into space, and that person scored the try. I really, really enjoyed that. That was my fun part of my rugby, and that's probably maybe why I didn't score as many tries as most other centers do. I only scored 10 in my career, because I saw myself more as a try maker. I was trying to always make tries, break the line, or run around people and offload to the wing, or I was always trying to do something with the ball to put someone else in a better position. So that was my way of thinking of scoring tries. Getting into the zone, as you would say, is, in a team you have your pockets. You got your clicks, you've got your forwards, your backs. That's your obvious click, Then there's always this rivalry between the forwards and the backs, and who's working harder than who, and who's more clever than the other one, and all those kind of things. I'm not going to bore you with all that banter, but everybody's got a role. Everybody's got a role to play in a team, but you do have your clicks. Your front row, they're extremely strong and they stabilize the scrum. Then your locks, they have their job to do in the lineouts and keep the engine room going. You've got your flankers and your eighth man, they like your scavengers, they're all over the place trying to get the ball and stuff. So they work in a unit. And then, you've got your decision makers, your 9 and your 10 and your 15. You've got your decision makers in terms of kicking or direction of play, and then you've got your centers, just your hard grafting up and down the field, making tackles, busting lines. Everybody works together as a team, and it's like I assume with your flying, you've got your pilots in the front, and then you've got your people working up and down in the plane. You've got your ground staff telling you. You've got your people in the tower talking to you. That's your team. That's your rugby team. And eventually, if everybody works together, the plane is going to take off, and everybody's going to be happy. And that's pretty much what it is. It's working together as in combinations. And at training, sometimes you train so well and you feel so good about training. And then you come Friday and you're like, man, I've got this. We're just going to crush this team on Saturday. And then you come Saturday and it's a bloody hard game. And it's like, what's going on here? And it's like, we thought it was going to be so easy. And then the opposite. During training, you're going to have a really bad training session leading up to Saturday's game. And then come Saturday, you have an outstanding game. Everything just clicks. Everything falls into place. And you think to yourself, what happened there? Because it's just so weird sometimes. And like I said to you earlier, for me as a person, before a game, if I have butterflies and I'm feeling a little bit nervous, not to the extent where I'm going to vomit, but just like a little bit unsure, I'm a little bit nervous about this game, I'm not sure what's going to happen, I'm probably going to end up playing a really good game, because I'm forcing myself to get rid of that nerves and convince myself that I'm ready for this game on the field. Where other times I'll in front of a game, I'm like, I'm good. I've done my passing. I've done my extra work. I've put in the hours. This is going to be an easy game. And then I end up having a really, really bad game, missing tackles, or I just feel like I'm not in the game. I'm chasing the ball, but I'm not doing anything. And, I just feel like I'm out of position. And it's just weird. But you got to find something that will snap you back into that zone. I once went to a seminar as a player, and this gentleman was talking. The speaker was talking about a rubber band that you put around your wrist, and every time you feel like you're losing focus, take this rubber band and shoot yourself on the wrist, just to like snap you out of it, and focus back. Why are you there? What are you supposed to do, and stuff like that. So every person is different. Every person has different little innuendos kind of thing. But unfortunately, you got to stay in that zone while you're flying, while you're playing that game. You have to stay in the moment. You can't think about your tax, your girlfriend, your whatever. You have to stay in the moment and know what is expected from you, and stuff.
Sure, Andre, you've mentioned so many great things there. I want to just try and see if I can zoom in on a couple of them. The idea of looking at, well, I was ready for this. We had a great week, we had a build-up, but we had a bit of a letdown or a flat day, or things just didn't click. Now, in my analysis of high-performance teams using the principle of incremental gains, it's a three-step process. You come in with thorough preparation, you deliver, your execution is with precision, and then you review. And every day, you just try and do that little bit more so that tomorrow you're better than today, but you're not actually interested in the competition. You are trying to improve you. And when I say you, it's you as an individual, but you as a team as well. So on those flat days, talk us through the debrief that would go through. And I presume there'll be a debrief internally, your own mental debrief. There'll be a debrief with the players on the field, but then also a more formal debrief with the coaching staff after that. Talk me through that critical phase of debriefing and really trying to hone the performance for tomorrow.
Perfect point. Because, at the end of the day, you can't control your opponent. You can't control the team you're playing against. You can't control their outcome. You can't control what you can control. That's the only thing you can improve on. A lot of players, now that I'm coaching, I get the feeling they're scared to make a mistake. They're scared to fail. And I'm trying to say to them, don't worry. You have to make mistakes. Because if you make a mistake, we learn from our mistakes. And if you make a mistake then we can improve and we can find better ways how to develop. So don't be scared of losing. Don't be scared of dropping a ball. I'm not asking you to deliberately drop a ball. Try and make an effort to catch it. But if you do drop it, ask yourself, was my hands in the wrong position? Was my feet in the wrong position? Was I focusing somewhere else instead of the ball? So you have to make those mistakes. And it's like playing a game. So now we play a game. We didn't have a good game. We walk off the pitch. The first thing that the players, I think, I can only speak for myself, that you think is like, oh gosh, what is the coach going to say? So it's, yes, there are coaches out there that are very emotional and they'll throw things around in the change room and they'll lift their voice and all that stuff and maybe a swear word every now and again or two, but it's as a coach, you got to understand those players know what they've just done. They know they've lost the game. They know they made mistakes. So as a coach, to go in there and shout at them and yell at them and tell them about their mistakes and stuff in that way, now you're just pushing them further down into the ground. I'm not saying give them accolades for their mistakes, but I think just keep it neutral, keep it steady, and then at training, discuss it with them and let them talk and say to them, right, what do you think went wrong? Because you as a coach, you know what went wrong. Now you could see it, and let them talk and let them give them the confidence and the responsibility to stand up and be counted and let them talk and say, coach, we did this wrong. Coach, we didn't do this. We trained the whole week to do this, but during the game we didn't execute. Or let them talk so that they can recognize their own mistakes and basically ask questions or guide them so that they can come up with solutions to rectify it. And then once that's done, I think then you as a coach can step in and say, right, guys, this is what I think happened. This is how we prepared. This is what's the execution side of things. And unfortunately, this was the outcome. How are we going to make it fair? Do you think we can do this? Do you think we can improve on that? And it's basically a two-way thing. It's not a my way or the highway. Unfortunately, there are coaches out there that do that. But the game has developed and changed where there's a lot of more player input. So debriefing is really, really important to sit down and talk about what happened and where we can improve. And the day you stop improving yourself as a person is the day you die. So you need to improve as a person, as a father, as a husband, as a rugby player, as an athlete, just in general, not just as a sportsman or a sport you're playing, just in general life. You got to keep on improving, find ways to improve yourself, whether it's, I don't know, read a book, find what makes your boy or your girl tick. If you got a child, find ways, what makes them tick, what's important for them, learn about them, because that helps you to evolve. So feedback, debriefing is very important so that you understand how they think, how the player think, and you as a coach can then respond to that.
Sure, you made some great points there. I want to just bring in a little bit of some more video footage here, and ending on a somber note for you, but a great start. So let's play this one here for you.
Van der Westhuizen, Dutoy
against the All Blacks.
Trying the drop, and he reclaims it for André Snyman. Snyman has the pace and the power.
And certainly. Okay, so it's a celebrated try against the All Blacks, wonderful in the corner there, but not a very happy-looking André Snyman on the floor there. So,
no.
I mean, scoring a try against the All Blacks, that's the first part of this video. Must have been such a wonderful achievement. Again, we talked earlier about the sort of the combinations and being in the right place at the right time, playing a supportive role and executing when it's your time and your team has entrusted you with the ball now, and then you deliver. Scoring a try in the corner against the All Blacks, you must have just been emotions through the roof, and right away straight into injury, from a super high down to a low. I'm sure that the high that you were left with moments before the pain, you thought, doesn't matter what it is, I'll finish this game because I'm ready for it. Talk us through that.
Yeah, no, that was definitely a bittersweet situation, like you say. I mean, scoring a try, you've got, while you're running with the ball, you've got all these thoughts going through your head, like, okay, I can make it. I'm going to score a try. I'm going to be a hero, and it's just this amazing feeling. And then all of a sudden, you score the try, and you're like, okay, hold on, what's going on here? I can't get up, and I looked down at my leg, and my toes were pointing at me, and I realized, okay, this is not normal. So yeah, I had a total ankle dislocation and fracture. So basically, all the ligaments was gone. The leg broke as well. I just want to clarify, everybody thought that Peter Rousseau broke my leg. Unfortunately, it wasn't Peter Rousseau. It was Christian Cullen. Okay. So Christian Cullen, if you slow the video down, you'll see Christian Cullen drags my jersey down from the back, and my leg gets stuck under his body before I score the try. And that's where it snapped. Then I still had to take one step more on this broken leg to get to the try line, and that's when the whole ankle just shattered. So yeah, I've been watching that video over and over and over. So, but yeah, it was a bit of a double whammy for me. Obviously the injury, but the big thing for me was the disappointment, because it was literally 3 weeks before the World Cup in '99, and I was sort of like part of the World Cup squad. I was earmarked to be part of the squad. So yeah, it was unfortunately, and the reason why I was hitting the ground, if you keep on watching the video, was not because of the pain. It was because of the frustration, knowing that
that's it.
I've missed out. That's it. I've missed out on another World Cup. I've already missed the '95 World Cup. I'm not going to bore you with all the details. And the '99 one, I'm now missing because of injury. So it was just that frustration of working so hard to be the best in that position, that I believe I'm the best, and all of a sudden it gets taken away from me with like a snap of the fingers.
A snap of the ankle.
And then obviously snap of the ankles.
Sure.
So yeah, but I mean it's tough. But like I said, it happens in a sportsman's career where you do get injuries. It's like the old saying: it's not how many times you fall, it's how many times you stand up. And if you fall, just make sure you fall on your back so you know which way to get up. So yeah, and that's basically what I had to do is just I had to like bounce back from that horrific injury, and I managed to get back.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. I know. We chatted earlier, and you had such a great run with the Springboks up until this point that things were going well, as you mentioned in those first 3 years. Every time you scored, the Springboks won. It was a good run building up to the World Cup. One injury, but you were also part of that record equaling unbeaten run of 17 unbeaten games for the Springboks with Nick Mallett and Gary Teichmann. That must have been just something special too. Just know that you guys are sort of rewriting the history books and being a part of this thing bigger than yourself. Once again, we've talked on these themes already. Yeah. Talk us through the feeling in the camp at that point. Such great players too, coaches.
Yeah, no, I mean, once I got back into, let's, like you say, rewind a little bit. We just came off a horrible loss against the British Lions in '97. with Carl du Plessis being the head coach. A lot of controversy in terms of team selections and dynamics in the team and player positions and everything. So yeah, that was a bit of a low in the rugby in South Africa, losing that test series against the British Lions. Nick Mallett took over shortly after that, and then we started this magnificent 17 run. We didn't know about it until right at the end. We just kept on playing the game. Nobody told us when we got to the 10th game. Nobody said to us, "Hey, you guys have won 10 games in a row. If you win another 7, you equal the record." Nobody told us. Nobody knew about it. We just kept on playing, doing what we do well. And then it was only right at the end when we got to like number 16, I think it was. Everybody's 15, 16. Everybody was like, "Whoa, you've got a chance." And unfortunately, we went to Twickenham, played against England, and we lost that game. And that was, unfortunately, that would have been the 18th game. And we didn't secure it. So going into that game was so much added pressure. We were focusing on this record that needs to be broken, that we actually forgot to play rugby, because we were all focusing on, wow, if we win this game, because I think we walked in that game thinking this is just another walk in the park. We just got to finish the game. We've got it in the bag, win the game, rewrite the record books, job done. And I think the media made such a hype about it that England used that as a motivation. And they just said, we will not give them this glory of, being that team that they won or beat to take the world record. So unfortunately we equaled it at 17. But during those 17 tests, it was amazing. I think I may have played all of them, so it was just amazing under Nick Mallett. He was consistent, didn't do a lot of changes in the team, made you believe that you were the best. I can carry on and on and on about that, but those were the key principles. He was very consistent as a coach. You knew exactly where you were with him. He was transparent. He was consistent. It was just amazing to play for him and for that team at the time. Unfortunately, towards the end, things got a bit nasty with Nick Mallett and Gary Teichmann and Bobby Skinstad. Things got a bit of politically there, which is sad. I mean, both players are brilliant players and leaders. Gary was getting on the old end of the spectrum. Bobby was on the young end of the spectrum coming in, and you're always going to have this old versus new, experience versus. It's just unfortunately what happened, but yeah, it was a brilliant 17 games.
Oh, wonderful. Well, look, there was a few things that you've mentioned along the way, and there's so much still to talk about. But one thing I want to talk about particularly is, so all the preparation, I mean, being part of this wonderful squad, the diligence and the training, the weight training, the nutrition, and you've got a massive support staff around you. And I want to come back to sort of the bigger, wider team later in our chat. But talk me through what it's like being part of the captain's run. What is that all about? I mean, in my estimation, it must be that time where it's almost that sort of more social bonding. It's not about the fitness. It's not about anything particular. It's just the players on game day going for a run, getting the heart rate up, and just firing each other up. Talk us through a captain's run. You must have had some great captains in your time. Anything that stands out there for you?
Okay, so first of all, I need to correct you. I wish a captain's run was getting together and go for a little jog and have a couple of beers.
Yeah, I don't mean beers, sure.
So a captain's run is basically the captain is in control. Okay. So on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, depending on when let's say the captain's run is on a Friday, which normally it is. So you will be preparing yourself as a group on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday with your coaches, with your independent skill coaches, defense coaches, attack coaches, scrum coaches, whatever, kicking coaches. There's so many bloody coaches nowadays. So you prepare yourself up till Thursday with the coaches involved, with their input, sharing thoughts, everything. The Friday before the game, we call it a captain's run. That's when the coaches step away from the team. The coaches now all of a sudden stand on the side of the pitch, and it's basically the whole session, which is normally not a long session. It's normally maybe a 25-minute session. is purely the captain. The captain and the decision makers are in control of the team. We get on the pitch, and it's not even a full-on 100% running session. It's basically saying, right, boys, let's pretend we're playing a game. Okay. We are in our 22. There's a scrum on the left-hand side. What are our options? And then we talk about it, and we'll execute it maybe at 50, 75% running rate. We'll stop. We'll walk back, and then the captain will say, right, we have a line out on the halfway line on the right-hand side of the field. What are our options? And then we'll talk about it, look at our options, execute one of those options, run it through the move, couple of phases, stop, walk back to the next. So basically the captain is basically playing shadow rugby, and we're all just making sure that we're all on the same page. We know what the game plan is. We know what the coaches want. Because at the end of the day, on a Saturday, who's in charge of the game? Us, players, not the coaches. The coaches have done their job. They've done their job until the Thursday. We as players on the pitch, we have to make the right decisions. We have to execute. We can't now rely on the coaches to do it. Sure. Yes, you can mic up the coach, and the coach can speak to the water carrier and say, hey, get this message onto the field. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's still the player that has to make that final decision and execute. So a captain's run is basically the captain is in charge. The captain is telling us how we're going to play this game, make sure everybody's on the same hymn sheet, everybody knows the game plan, what is expected from them in a 22, in the halfway, in their 22. Okay. What are we going to do from kickoff? That's basically a captain's run. It's basically just a recap. It's almost like a flight simulator. You get in there, you flight simulate what's going to happen until before you get into the real thing. That's basically what it is.
Okay, I love that concept.
That can vary as well. I mean, if some captains may have a different way of doing it, some coaches might have a different, but that's the way we did it. And I can only speak from my experience.
Okay, I mean, it sounds great. I like that concept of the leader of the ship, as it were. Now you're on the team on game day, and you will be making all the calls. So this is that sort of last bit of polishing. Yeah. I mean, it sounds like a well-oiled unit by then, and we're just making sure that in each scenario, this is what we do. Well, okay, Andre, we've covered a lot of stuff here. We haven't even started talking about coaching, other than diving in and out of all.
I just got warmed up now.
So let's wrap up. Now, you had a great opportunity playing Springboks. I mean, a lot of all schoolboy rugby's idea of representing the country. Just such a wonderful opportunity. You had a good run at it too. You had an unfortunate time with some injuries, but some great memories too. The close of your Springbok career must have been a difficult decision, or professional rugby coming sort of 2007 now, getting to the end of playing days. Is that a hard decision? Is your body telling you to go? Talk me through the decision of ending professional rugby and into the new era of your life.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I say, it's a big decision. Sometimes that decision is made for you. Unfortunately, you get players with career-ending injuries. They've got an injury and they can never play again. So you don't really have a decision in that. It was made for you. The only decision that you now have is to get better and decide what you're going to do with your life after the injury. But in my case, my body, I think, just said enough is enough, and I just decided I have to move on. I can't carry on playing rugby. I was 33 years old at the time. Although the club in Leeds, they wanted me for another 2 years. They offered me another 2-year contract. But at the time, it felt right. It just felt right for me to hang up my boots. It was tough. It was a really tough decision, knowing that what I've been doing my whole life is going to be taken away from me. Well, not taken away from me. I'm letting go of it. Sure. I'm letting go of it, knowing every morning I knew exactly what to do. I didn't have to think. I just wake up in the morning. I know I have to go do gym. After gym, I'm going to have a snack. After snack, I'm going to do a video review. Then I'm going to have lunch. I'm going to train. The next day, repeat. The next day, maybe. So my day was very structured. I knew exactly what I'm going to do, when I'm going to do it, and how I'm going to do it. All of a sudden, that is gone. You wake up and you're like, okay, what do I have to do now? Where do I go? So your mindset have to change. You got to now decide, okay, I've got to get up, I've got to go either look for a job, or maybe you have a job and now I've got to go and do some marketing or sales, or I have to go to a construction site, or I have to go to my office behind a computer, whatever your future might be after rugby. It's now you've got to change that mindset. But if you really, really look at the finer detail between life after rugby and being a rugby player, there's a lot of similarities. And like you and I, we spoke earlier, and a lot of things that I spoke to you about, you can apply that to your career at the moment being a pilot. A lot of the things are very similar. Sure. It's like having vanilla ice cream with chocolate sauce or having vanilla ice cream with sprinkles. At the end of the day, we're having pudding and we're eating it the way we want to. Sure. So it was a big change. It was a big change for me. But I was luckily that I went into another passion of mine, which is construction. So I went from one passion, which was rugby, to another passion, which was construction and creating and building stuff. So that transition was a lot easier for me. And then I did another transition from construction to coaching. And I know you want to get to the coaching side of things as well. And that's where I am now. I'm now on the coaching side of my life, where I can give back to kids and people, share my knowledge and share my experiences, and try and develop players to become the rugby player that they want to become. I'm giving them the tools to do that. It's up to them now to use the tool on the pitch.
Sure. Okay. So, wow. Two big transitions from there. And not only that, but now you find yourself off to another part of the world. Your wife is a green card holder. Your opportunity to go to the United States, and great opportunities there in getting involved in coaching and the Pacific Rugby Premiership, building from a small base and a team that you have to. Not only you can't just choose the best players because you've got restrictions. People have to be able to pay their own way. Can they pay the bus fare and the accommodation? If not, your starting 15 becomes your starting 12 with a few extras. And building from that into going on to back-to-back championships. So to walk us through building up that team for the 2015 where you took the first title.
Yeah, I mean, just to take one step back, obviously, like you said, I was very fortunate that Philippa, my wife, had a green card. We got this opportunity to go to America to go and coach there. But the decision to go to America was twofold. The first one was obviously for the coaching and to develop my coaching career. And then secondly, we wanted to give our children an opportunity in life to have another passport or citizenship, so that they can make a decision and when they're old enough whether they want to be in South Africa or whether they want to be in America. So our decision to go to America was twofold. Let's look at the first one, the rugby one. Yes, arriving at this club, amateur, very amateur, great facility, absolutely stunning facility, best facility in America setup, Glendale Infinity Park. But the rugby was club rugby. Amateur. The kids there, they played rugby because it's a new game, it's a new sport, it weren't at a high level. So when I came there and I started talking about structures and game plans and all those kind of things, some of them were really like, whoa, what is this? I just want to catch a ball, run and score a try. That's all I want to do. So I had to I arrived there in 2011. So from 2011 until 2015, when we win the first championship, it was a long, hard road to get this team, these players, together as a team. And it was tough I put the structures in place. I said, this is what we're going to do. I was very transparent, very consistent, but it's to get the buy-in from the players and for them to understand that if they're going to do it this way, they will get rewarded. It's maybe a little bit different what they used to do it, but trust me, just try and do it this way. And if you do it this way, it will work. Because why? Because I've done it in the past. And it worked. So surely it should work now as well. That was my attitude, and it paid off. It was a bumpy road, as you said. Being an amateur club, if we had to travel to go play other teams, the players were in charge of their own accommodation and their own travel costs. So I would select my team, and then on a Friday night, the fly half will call me and say, "Coach, I'm sorry, I can't travel. I have to go and work. I don't have the money." Then all of a sudden you're scrambling, and you're like, on a Friday night, I've got to find someone that's going to go in his place to the team. So ultimately, I can basically pick my team on a Monday or a Tuesday. I'll say to the group of players I like, right, which players can travel on the weekend? And then they'll put their hands up. And then whoever puts their hands up, those are the players that I've got to use to select my team. That's how the selection process worked in America. At the club that I was, I can only select the players that can afford to travel. Very tough, very difficult. But I managed to create a family environment. I managed to create an environment where the players wanted to come and play. And I think that was a success with the help of Philippa. She was like all field, having dinners at our house, team dinners before the game, and then during the game, she was always there supporting them, taking photos, putting photos on their Facebook pages. All of a sudden, these players, they felt like they belong. They belong to something. They belong to a team. And they started expressing themselves, playing better rugby. They started buying into my idea or my structures and game plans and concepts that I've got, because now they see it works, and they're like, hey, hang on, he's not such a bad South African. We can trust him. And then all of a sudden, it started evolving. And then by the time we got to 2014, end of 14, beginning of 15, I managed to get the club to got to a point where I said to the club, you guys want a successful team. Now, to be able to be a successful team, I need support from you. I need support from the club. Could the club please provide some sort of financial help, at least pay the players' travel? If the club can pay the travel, I can pick the best players. If I pick the best players, I will win games. And that's how it started. So the club agreed that they will pay all the flight tickets and travel. So it ended up me be able to pick the best team. So if we do travel, we would win games because I've got my full strength team. And that's how it started. And then eventually I was very fortunate, very tough year, but 2015 was a very tough season. We managed to win that championship. And then we had the pressure of like, oh, this is the way Glendale did. So then all of the other clubs started doing it the way we're doing it. Okay. Because I started this model, and then some other clubs try to follow that. So 2016 was very tough, a lot of competition, because now other teams have caught on what to do, how to do it. Sure. But we managed to win the 2016 one as well. So yeah, I was very fortunate to be able to win back-to-back championships with the same team. Not a lot of changes in the team, just belief, consistency, and repetition, and doing the same thing the right way.
Oh, that's wonderful. I know certainly going back to the Air Force days, we had a saying, you train like you fight so that you can fight like you train. And I know that kind of a concept resonates with you and would have brought that through in your training structures too. But now having the victory of the back-to-back victories, a great achievement in the coaching, proving that you're not a one-hit wonder. Now there's an opportunity to get involved in, you're obviously spending a lot of time away, amateur rugby, you're putting extra effort in to make this a success, missing out on a bit of the kids' time, an opportunity to spend more time with the family, get involved in youth rugby, and that brings you back to the UK now, and at your current situation as the head coach at the school in Doncaster now, Hill House. Talk us through the transition now to a new country and a new structure, and now with youth again.
Yeah, so we were 8 years in America. Very fortunate, like I said, very successful rugby career there. Did my apprenticeship, so to speak. And all four of us are citizens. We managed to get our citizenship as well. So we're all American citizens as well. And then, like you said, with the rugby side of things, yes, I spent a lot more time away from home, traveling with the team. And then obviously my kids started playing rugby as well. And I started missing a lot of their games. Philippa had to FaceTime me or WhatsApp call me while she's standing on the side of the pitch on a Saturday morning while the kids are playing rugby, and I'm watching my kids playing rugby on a cell phone. And I quickly realized there's something wrong with this picture. Sure. And I decided as one of the reasons, I decided to step down from mainstream coaching, which is club coaching or first division or whatever you want to call it, and focus on my kids. And I started coaching the kids at the club level. So started coaching my son and my daughter, and a whole new chapter in my life opened up in terms of expressing sharing my knowledge with these youngsters and the kids, and it was unbelievable. It was they like sponges. They just soak all the information up, and it was just like a new life, a new lease on life, and I really enjoyed it. And unfortunately, rugby in America is not really being played at school level. There's some schools, especially at high school, junior school, up until the age of probably, I want to say 15, you will not get it in a school in America. It starts only at the age of about 14, 15. You'll start playing rugby in the high schools. So if you want to play rugby at a younger age, you have to go to a club. You got to go to a club and go play youth rugby at a club, whether it's called Highlands Ranch or Denver Barbarians or whatever that was called.
Sure.
So we looked at that, and Philip and I, growing up in South Africa in the school system, where rugby was part of the curriculum, rugby was part of the school. You have to play, and the beauty was that you played against other schools. So we looked at the situation and we said we would like our kids to be in that environment where they can play rugby at school, they can play against other schools, the competition and all those things. We started searching, looking around. This opportunity came about to come to Doncaster Hill House, and we're like, perfect. This is it. The kids are still at the school. I'm at the school. They're playing rugby at the school. They're competitive. They learn how to play other sports like hockey, netball. It was just brilliant. And my sons learn how to play cricket. So if we were in America, they would never had this opportunity. So now basically, both my kids, they play rugby all year round, and that's exactly what I wanted. That's what they want. Funny enough, they wanted. Don't ask me why. They want to play rugby. So they just love it. So that is what brought us to the UK. We're here now. My boy is 10 years old, and my girl is 12 years old. And they both love the game, and I've started a rugby program at the school for the girls.
Oh wow!
Which they've never had. They've never had a rugby program at the school for girls. I've started this program there, and we've got about 50 girls from age groups under 6 all the way through to under 18. We've got about 50 girls that are interested. Early stages, still developing, learning and stuff like that, but at least they're interested, and so hopefully soon we'll have a nice program at the school of female athletes as well.
Okay, wonderful. André, it's just been a great pleasure chatting with you. I can see also that we talk about things that happened to you maybe 20 years ago, and the passion lights up, and it's just great to speak to people who are passionate about what they were involved in, what they're busy with, and you're giving back on the other end now at the youth level. I want to leave you with a final question and your thoughts on the Springbok victory in Japan last year. We talked about groups, and we talked about the clicks, the forwards, the backs, the pairings, etc. What are your thoughts on how this team delivered so well, and specifically perhaps things like the bomb squad? What was it? What was that extra edge that the Springboks had in this victory in Japan? Certainly, it was a buzz here in South Africa, and we had a great time. I hope you enjoyed the build-up and the games, watching wherever you were in the world at that point too.
Well, I was here in England, so trust me, I got a lot of flack. So a lot of English people were giving me a lot of stick because obviously the two teams played against each other. To come back to the victory, I honestly think Rossi did a great job in terms of pulling a team that is so diverse together. You've got players from all color, all nature together to become one team. I'm not going to go into too much detail about the caliber of players that he had in his team. I mean, you've got players like Dwayne Vermeulen, or for that extent, all the way to the Beast. you know, and then you've got youngsters coming in. You've got such a variety of players. It's just unbelievable how he managed to get them together for one common goal. You know, it's accolades to him for whatever he did. I mean, I wish I was sometimes a fly against the wall in his team talks to see what he's done. But, you know, at the end of the day, no matter what your background is as a player, you know, if you have one common goal and everybody works towards that goal, I think you will be successful. And I think that's what happened with this team. They were all hungry for this victory. You know, it's been a long time since we were up there or even had a shot at it, and I think it was just the right time at the right place. You know, so. But yeah, I mean, like I say, accolades to the coaches and the players for managing to get together as a team and working so hard together to manage to lift the trophy. So well done. I mean, I'm very proud to be South African.
Awesome. Andre, it's been wonderful. Thank you. We've gone way over an hour. Promised you a half an hour conversation. We could probably talk another hour. It's a wonderful conversation with you. All the best to you and your family and the coaching at Hill House and in the future prospects of coaching further rugby as your children grow up. No doubt you will carry on in that league. I hope we get another chance to have another chat. And thanks again for your time today.
Absolutely fabulous, and keep flying.
Will do. Well, folks, thanks so much for joining. It's been a long, interesting conversation. Please, if you can remember to subscribe, share, like, put some comments in. If you're not watching live now, type a comment to the end of the show. We'll try and get to all your comments too. Exciting guests lined up ahead. We've got the French display team. We've got a former professional sportsman turned helicopter pilot coming up. So please stay tuned and be safe.